How are we doing, ladies and gentlemen? It's your man Nex here. In today's game of theories, I'm going to go deep into the realms of science as I rediscover how to make Valyrian steel. If you're interested in taking part in this month's competition giveaway where you could win a Game of Thrones graphic novel volume 1, then all you've got to do is be subscribed to the channel and make sure that you leave a comment below about your suggestion for a top 5 video that you want me to do. Also, if you like these science-based theories, then make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Let's see if we can go for 3,000 likes. And with that being said, let's get straight to it. The most highly sought after weapons throughout all of Westeros and Essos are those made from Valyrian steel, a type of metal that was invented in the old freehold of Valyria that is infinitely famous for being sharper, lighter and stronger than any other type of steel known to man. Its unparalleled quality and ability to hold an edge like no other blade makes Valyrian steel swords the most ideal weapons for the world's greatest warriors, or even heirlooms for noble houses. But ever since the Doom of Valyria 400 years ago, this ancient steel has become extremely difficult to acquire as the art of its forgery was lost in the Cataclysm. Thanks to Jon Snow, we know that Valyrian steel is effective against White Walkers, but if the people of Westeros are going to use these weapons in the Great War to come, then they will need to rediscover the secret of making this legendary steel. But before we ascertain the magic process of its forging, we need to take a deeper look at how steel is made. To keep things straightforward, put simply, steel is literally purified iron with a low level of carbon. The process begins by heating iron ore with limestone or coal in a furnace to around 1600 degrees. Carbon and other impurities are then removed from the molten iron by blowing oxygen into it. The oxygen reacts with the carbon, producing carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide, which escape from the molten metal. Enough oxygen is used to achieve steel with the desired carbon content. Very low carbon content would mean the steel can be easily shaped, and typically it's used for car body panels. Higher carbon content would make the steel harder, which is typically used for cutting tools. At this same stage, other metals can also be added, such as nickel and chromium, to augment the element and produce alloys with properties suited for specific uses. In the end, molten steel from the furnaces passes through continuous casters and is formed into slabs, blooms and billets. These primary steel products are transformed into a wide range of finished steel products through hot and cold rolling processes. From here, this raw material can be distributed all over and used for almost anything as long as you take the right type of steel. George R.R. Martin got his inspiration for Valyrian steel from the real-world Damascus steel. Not for the potential way that it was forged, but more its distinctive appearance, its strength, edge resilience, and the widely known fact that for generations the art of how to forge Damascus steel was lost. The steel is named Damascus as it heralds from the same named capital city of Syria, and it dates back to the Persian forgeries of the 18th century. Still to this day, blacksmiths are not 100% certain on how to completely replicate this metal, but many people have come close. So far so good, right? Now then, the only thing left to figure out is what makes Valyrian steel so unique. We know why it is, but we need to know how. How did the Valyrians craft this metal to be so much better than their counterparts? We were gifted with a hint by our father George R.R. Martin, as he stated in one of his interviews, Valyrian steel is a fantasy metal, which means it has magical characteristics, and magic plays a role in its forging. This leaves the door pretty wide open for interpretation, but there is another element to consider that massively guides my theorizing: the blacksmiths of Cahors. They claim to know the specific magics that are required for reforging Valyrian steel without losing its strength or unsurpassed ability to hold an edge. What's more, this has actually been proved when Tywin Lannister asked Tobbo Mott, who happens to be a blacksmith trained in Cahor, to reforge Ned Stark's greatsword Ice into 2 new blades, Widow's Wail and Oathkeeper. Already, this means that we can rule out the popular fan choice of Dragonfire, because if that was the magic required to craft this steel, then Cahor blacksmiths would fail at their attempts to reforge the new swords, as obviously they don't own any dragons that we know about. I'm not saying that the Valyrians didn't use dragons to help them forge the steel, just that this is very unlikely to be the sole deciding factor or magic contribution between normal steel and Valyrian steel. I also think we can completely rule out the magic as simply as some sort of spell or enchantment that is cast on the steel to make it sharper, stronger and lighter, because if that was the case, then what is stopping the blacksmiths from doing that to any other sword? Also, this isn't fucking Harry Potter. By the way, I freaking love Harry Potter, so don't hate. The other discount I have on the secret being some form of spell is that because holy shitballs, how extremely lucky would that be that their spell doubled up as a weakness to the White Walkers? My interpretation of the magic used in the forging is based on fact and lore that we've already been given in the books and the TV show. The wall had ancient spells carved into its foundations.
The wall's not just ice and stone. Ancient spells were carved into its foundations.
The Horn of Joramun and Dragonbinder Horn have banded glyphs on them, and even the first men were known to communicate using runes, perhaps taught to them by the children of the forest. I believe that the blacksmiths of Cahor use ancient runes in their process to reforge the steel, in order to ensure that the metal cures as intended, thus retaining the strength and the sharpness, which would also explain why they can only reforge the steel instead of making more, because the magic is only limited to the forging process. The real secret is the components of the steel, and they're missing the final ingredient. This relates back to the earlier topic of adding elements to your steel in order to achieve a different result and requirement, and in this circumstance, it was the perfect edged weapon. And if you haven't guessed it by now, let me ask you, what is the only other weakness to White Walkers other than Valyrian blades? Dragonglass. What seems to be available to Valyrians in abundance? Dragonglass. And you can even give credit to its ancient name, to the unique element used to create it, dragon steel. Also, the alloy of dragon glass would be the perfect explanation as to why the steel has distinctive grey ripples throughout the metal. And more importantly, it serves as the absolute reason as to why Valyrian steel is effective against White Walkers. Everything is gearing up for our dream team to rediscover this lost art. It is no coincidence that you have the one person you would want to try and decipher ancient runes that are needed to forge Valyrian steel searching for them at the Citadel, and Sam is surely set to find them. It is no coincidence that Gendry was the talented young apprentice of the Cahor blacksmith who succeeded at reforging Valyrian steel, and he is set to make a return just in time to provide the right skills and application to utilize these magic runes.
You know, I've been hammering an anvil these past 10 years. When I hit that steel, it sings. You gonna sing when I hit you?
And it is no coincidence that Jon Snow and Daenerys Targaryen look set to make an alliance on the small Isle of Dragonstone, the one remaining safe location that has a wealth of dragon glass on it. Gendry, make that iron sing again, my man. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you liked the science behind the video, and even if you didn't agree with the theory, then at least hopefully we all got to learn a little something anyway. Let me know your thoughts and how you interpret what the magic forging process of Valyrian steel will be in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to be part of the giveaway, and until next time, guys, take it easy.